4 minutes. Between Tennessee and Duke, it is. It is.
Tennessee with.
No, this morning when first hour, she said she was having a really bad day. I was like, okay. Who? Miss Shavoni, she interrupted her class, like she walked in at like 7 o'clock.
How do you start doing home? Is that right?
I want to go to practice.
You need to
I didn't class. Well, every time Hannah grabbed me, I did kind of laugh. My bad. No, because there's like a lot of things. I didn't get past. I didn't either, but I also had Hannah and Molly back behind us.
like, hey, I hate this person.
I should have, but I didn't notice until we started. Actually, I don't know. You kept thinking why.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go and run an errand job. Today.
That's not nice.
You're not actually, did all this for you.
You need to tell her.
Don't worry, I'm only like one of 9.
I don't know.
2 minutes.
What is going on with your socks? That's not. You think?
Make sure you vote. Make sure you complete the bell ringer problem. I see 2 problems up there with no answers.
Why did you have to do it? Huh?
Alright.
43 seconds. All right. So let's go ahead and look at these bell ringer problems today. Good. I think we've got down the way to identify the 3 types of solutions. So this does cross in one spot right there. So that is one solution. Perfect. Even though this is a horizontal line and this is a line that has some slope, they cross. Works out perfect. Okay. On this problem, we're going to subtract the 4x's from one side to the other. We get negative y is equal to negative 4x plus 10. So when we divide by negative 1 all the way through, we get y equals 4x minus 10. Okay. So that is what they had. Perfect. This pen is about to die, so we're going to. Okay. This system, I put one like this up here on purpose because this tends to throw some of us when we see this, and I guarantee you'll probably see one like this on PSAT for sure. Y equals -2. They've already told you one of the answers, right? Like that is this line, except that it should be down here, right? It's just a flat, no slope line. So if y equals -2, you already know one of the answers. And then you can just plug that -2 in for y and do 4x, -2 times -3 is +6 equals 18. Subtract the 6, you get 4x equals 12. Divide by 4, and x does in fact equal 3. So don't let the simplicity of this complicate things, right? Like they've told you one of the answers, so you can just run with it. All right, now this problem I threw out there because it's a little bit harder of a substitution problem, and we haven't necessarily really looked at it. Oh yeah, well actually it would work for elimination. So do we have to use substitution on this one? No, we don't have to. We could actually use elimination, which we've been talking about. I will show you how you can do this with substitution in just a minute. These y's have ones in front of them. They're opposite signs, so we would add these two sentences together. -4 and -5 make -9. The y's cancel out, and you get 27 over here. Divide by -9 on both sides, and you do get -3. Perfect. So we're going to put that back into one of our two equations. I'm going to pick this top one because honestly, I don't want to mess with that 21, right? So -4 times -3 is 12. And then I'm going to subtract this 12 on both sides and get y is equal to -6. So we were pretty close on that one. Now, could we do this with substitution? Yes. If I wanted to, I could have added these 4 x's from this side over to this side, which would have made this equation right here say y equals 4x plus 6. And then we take this and plug it in for y and continue to solve. So now that you have multiple ways of doing problems in your back pocket, you've got to pick the one that either works the best for you or, I mean, in this case, elimination, this kind of lent itself to elimination because of the way that it was set up, okay? All right, so go ahead and open up your notes back to page 10 at this point, I believe. And that pair deck practice from yesterday. We had a few problems left in the notes that we didn't talk about, and I want to make sure that we go over those before I leave you on your own devices to work the things you need to work out. Okay. So we left off here yesterday, I believe, and we talked through this problem and how you could solve it with elimination. So I feel like we can move forward there. So now we're looking at number 8, which is on page 10. And again, this is one of those situations where if all 3 methods are something that you can handle and you understand, I don't know that I would necessarily use elimination on this problem. Make sure you guys are logging into Pear Deck, okay? So that because you're going to be doing some of these on your own. This one's not interactive. We're going to talk about number 8 as notes, but then we're going to do the others as ones that you can try in Pear Deck. So make sure you are logged into Pear Deck. I probably would, if I was solving this problem, use substitution. Just because, I mean, not trying to brag on myself, but since I teach math, I can do all 3 ways pretty fluently. And so x equals 3y plus 11 is already solved for x. So why would I try to make a mistake by manipulating it into a way I could do elimination? However, I know that not everybody's cup of tea is substitution, or furthermore, it might not even be a method that you understand. If you are struggling with substitution, then an elimination yesterday was like the thing that you were like waiting for. Like, thank goodness she showed me a way that I understand. And you're looking at this problem thinking, oh man, I really want to do elimination and I can't on this problem. You can. You just have to change some things around a little bit. With elimination, one of the biggest things you have to remember is everything has to be nice and lined up. The x's have to be lined up, the equal sign has to be lined up, numbers, y's, all the things. And right now we have some stuff that's just not lined up. But mathematically, we can change these things by moving our variables around, okay? So for instance, if I really want this to be lined up for elimination, I need these y's to make their way over to this side of the equal sign. The y's and the equal sign flip-flopping will line things up. So to do that, I can subtract these y's and move them back over to this side so that now it says x minus 3y is equal to 11. By the way, we are taking notes, so if you're working on homework right now and you're not writing down number 8, you're missing out. So now that I've changed this into this, I can use elimination now if I would rather do that than substitution. Because again, some of us are just not going to be fans of substitution, and I get that. It's not necessarily my favorite way either. Once I've changed it, I'm not going to mess with this one anymore because I've moved it around. I'm just going to focus on the two equations I have left. And we have the y's with a common digit. They're both negative, so same signs. Subtract. 2 minus 1 is 1x. That will cancel out. And 16 minus 11 is 5. And guess what? We're done finding x at this point. So for some of us, we are going to find the value in that first step of moving it, changing it so that you can do elimination, because substitution would have created a huge equation we would have had to solve. Plug that back in now to one of the two equations that we had. I'm going to use the one that has the smaller digits, which is the one I changed around. 5 goes in for x. I would subtract 5 on both sides and get negative 3y is equal to, that's not double negative there, that was a mark for my finger. 11 minus 5 is 6. Divide by negative 3 on both sides, and you get y is negative 2. So my answer here is 5, negative 2. So even if the equation is not set up in a way for you to do one of those methods, like yesterday, the last problem we did, number 1, that we started kind of left off there yesterday, that's the last problem you just saw. We didn't talk about it today, we talked about it yesterday. They were both in slope-intercept form, which lends itself to graphing, but you can use elimination still if you'd rather. Okay, so keep that in mind, that there is ways around the setup of the problem so that you can still do the method that you find the best. Okay, all right, I want you to try, if I can get this to toggle, number 9. This one is one that you can put your answer into. Thirty seconds. Whoops. All right, so let's see what our answer is. Oh, we only had a couple responses. I'm going to unlock this and let you have a little bit more time.
I am so sorry for the interruption, but due to distant circumstances, we are going to cancel freshman course request for tomorrow and we'll be rescheduling. So freshmen, we are going to reschedule your course request day. So report to your normal advisories tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, I'm getting ready to lock screens here after I cut this last little bit. And we can talk about this problem. All right, so I can either do a couple things. I could divide the top equation by 4, and then it would say y equals 1/2 x minus 2, and I could substitute that in. But you are going to have a fraction there. So if you want to do substitution, you can, but you might wind up with a fraction. Or I can take that equation and I can subtract these two x's to move them over to this side. And now it'll say negative 2x plus 4y equals negative 8. And I can use elimination. And I would add in this problem, because it is a negative and a positive 4y, which makes those cancel out when you add them together. 5 plus negative 2 is 3x. 20 plus negative 8 is 12. And when you divide by 3 on both sides, you get x is 4. Then I'm going to pick one of the two equations and plug it back in. So if x is 4, and I put it into this equation that has smaller numbers, negative 2 times 4 is negative 8 plus 4y equals negative 8. When I add 8 on both sides, I get 4y equals 0. That's not no solution because you still have some variable going on. So y equals 0. And our answer is 4, 0. Okay, so let's see responses here. For the most part, pretty good. All right, one more. Try number 11. One more minute. All right, let's see how we did. So I see infinite and none. Infinite, none, 1. So let's see what happens. So when I start to move, if I want to use elimination and I move these two x's over here, it now says negative 2x minus y is equal to 10. So if I look at my y's and they have opposite signs, I add these together. Your x's go away, your y's go away, you're left with 0. And negative 10 and positive 10 go away, you're left with 0. This is an infinite solution situation because 0 in fact does equal 0. Okay, so make sure you go through and finish out all the steps before you compare, because if you thought it was like 10, 0 equals 10, well, yeah, that'd have been no solution, but you probably didn't add those last two terms. You just kind of stopped in the middle of the problem and got a little ahead of yourself. Okay. All right, so homework. Let's work on 5.3 today. And if you're not done with 5.2, I suggest you go back and get that done before I put in grades. Also, just something fun because the teachers are doing it, so I thought I'd offer it up to anybody who wanted to do it. The actual March Madness started yesterday, really, but I think the main games start tomorrow. And so I have brackets here that have all the teams in it because the brackets were up and out last week. And if you would like to fill out a bracket and give it to me by tomorrow, what I'll do is I'll make a copy of it so that we can just make sure there's no cheaters. And if you can, however many winners that you guess will be some class cash coming your way, okay? And there might be a big prize if you can guess all the way to the championship. But I know sometimes our brackets get busted because of an upset, so as long as you're picking winners along the way, then I'll count up how many winners that you have and I'll give you some class cash. How much right off the bat of my head, I don't know. I'm just pulling this out of my brain as we go. So if you would like a bracket, raise your hand, I'll give you one, and you can fill this out and give it back to me. If you don't want to participate, that's fine. If you want to know what a winning bracket looks like, I mean, mine's up on the board over there, so you can just go copy mine and you'll be the winner. If you change your mind and you would like to fill out a bracket, I do need them by tomorrow because the main games start tomorrow, okay? But they're on my desk. If you change your mind and you want to fill that out, just make sure I have it. You're done with it by class tomorrow, okay? Homework. Work on your homework.